Okay, hopefully the sound's not too bad. Got solar panels going in the background. For those of you that care, my shop is green. It runs off of the sun. Really cool. It actually is very cool. Okay, so I get asked, how do you do the metal bottom cars? How do you do the wheel swaps on the metal bottom cars? And it's actually really easy. There's a lot of videos on drilling the rivets and tapping it and doing all this crazy stuff, but you don't have to. It's actually pretty simple to change the wheels. We'll do a couple of them. Hopefully I'll be able to keep the video in the cars where you guys can see, so I don't have my fat fingers and my hands in the way all the time. So the first thing we'll start off with, I guess, is let's do a nice hot rod, huh? And then we'll get to the Dior. We'll set that in the background. So we got a good hot rod in a muscle car, right? Excuse me. So this is a 10 and 12 millimeter wheel car. So it's got the small wheel in the front and the big wheel in the back. It's a metal bottom. These are the rivets, right? So these are what you would normally be drilling. And then after you're done drilling them, you tap them. And then after you're done with that, you get your screw fit, you put your bottom back on, and then you get your screws in, right? Crazy great way to do it. Complete pain in the neck. Okay, so what I do, and I know some of you are going to be like, no, not the red lines, but yes, I'm going to do the red lines, is I've got my trusty old soldering iron over there, right? You guys ready? Grab this wheel with your needle nose pliers, right? Now on these you have to be really careful because the intermediate piece is plastic. The top is metal, of course. The bottom is metal. The fenders and whatnot are plastic. Okay, so I've got my, I think 40-watt welder, is that what I always say it is? And I just put it on the head of the axle, right? You don't have to put any pressure. Let the iron do the work, right? And just push it right on through. Whoop, and you've got that off. Sometimes it'll come off clean, and sometimes it'll have a little bit of the axle left. So what you do is just get that warm and push it down. Always wear your gloves, right? Then you've got the top of the head left. Okay, so there's your front. You do the same thing on the rear. I always do the same sides. I don't know. Grab it with your needle nose, or whatever it is that you prefer to use, I guess. You know, you guys are tooly. And then just melt the wheel off. And of course this works with any plastic wheel. Don't inhale it. Make sure you stay far away from that plastic. Of course you got your masks on for safety and whatnot, right? Of course. If you touch the iron in any way for any length of time, you are burned. Don't touch it. All right, so we'll just melt that knob off. A lot of times that'll just come with it and you don't really have to worry about it, right? Okay, so now I got my two wheels cut off on my classic metal bottom car, right? Hi, look, Rick. This is a complete jar. I have bags and bags and bags of wheels, and I do plan on doing something with them. I don't know what yet. Okay, so we've got those off. Now what I want to do with this is I'm going to do the hot rod style wheels. And what I'm going to start with is I'm going to start with wheels like this that have an axle. Okay? There's wheels that have an axle, and there's wheels where you build your own axle. All right, I sell both of these on the website. Either way, you can build your own axle. Okay, it's really very simple to do. And once you do one of these, and you are going to screw up. So if you don't want to wait for 2 weeks, order a couple of sets of wheels, one to screw up and one to actually put on. Okay, now you guys know about the tab at the end, right? I don't like those. Okay, so I don't put them on my cars. You can put them on your cars if you want to, and it's pretty simple. If you want to keep those, just use your dikes, right? And cut downwards. The other guys that have seen this are like, yeah, yeah. And then that'll trap your head in there, okay? And then you can take your tweezers, grab your head, and glue it inside your axle hole, and you're good to go, okay? Because there is a rear end inside each Hot Wheels. You'll be okay. So what I do, right, is I cut the head of my axle off on my new wheels, whether I have these or not, okay? And then snip this one off too, right here, because you got an axle here too, right? So if you bought wheels, you have an axle, and you have axles on the cars. So you got a couple different ways that you can screw things up, you know what I mean? All right, so keep it the same. No, 50th anniversary, these are not real red lines. That'd be insane. Okay, now what I do is I don't use the axles that come with the things that I ship. I use the axles that are in the car because they're already pretty darn close to what I need to do. So, sorry about that. We'll pop this in here. Push down. Sorry guys, I know I'm all over the place. Push down the axle. You can see it. Sorry. See where it comes through? There. We'll put the other wheel on. I know you guys love hanging out with me, huh? It's gonna take forever. Drink coffee. Talk about things that don't make sense. I gotta get my other set of wheels. Wasn't prepared. Was ill prepared. Okay, so I've got my 10mm front set of wheels now that I should have grabbed before. Right? 10 in the front, 12 in the back. There's a bunch of different ways that you can buy these on the website so you can mix it up. Or if you just know what you want, there's those too. Cut the tip off my axle, pull it out, pop it in there, right? Bam. Bring it up here. I know my lights are pretty bad. Now that's a sick hot rod. It's got the hot rod mags in it. Looks pretty good, right? Okay, I've got my studs out the ends. And now what I want to do is I just want to test fit and make sure that my axles don't stick out the front of the hubs of my wheels. And it depends on what you like. Sorry, I keep doing that. Depends on what you like. Sometimes it looks good with the axle sticking out of the hubs a little bit, so you can leave it like that too. And you know, you're left over with a half a set of wheels. So if you do 2 cars, then you got some set of wheels you can recover. All right. So the other day, somebody saw the picture, and they said, "What's that glue for that you got on your desk?" And it's magic, man. Magic glue. Holds everything together. Okay, so if you have not seen the other videos, I talk about just using regular model glue. Okay, don't get it on your work area. Just get your axle with a little bit of model glue on it. Not too much like I just did. Okay, so all you got to do is get it on there. That's it. Get it on there. That's it. Again, I did a little bit too much. And then pop your wheel on. And just leave it. Pop your other wheel on. Right? Got them on your axle ends. Pop it over, set it down. Now you can see that front axle is poking out. Just leave it on your work area and push it in like that. Push the head in, okay? So just leave it on the work area and push your head in. All right, now you've got those swapped. You're looking pretty good from the other side. Looking nice, right? Now what you do is you let that set up for a minute and then give it a little push. You break the surface tension of any extra glue that's in there, and you've got your axles are nicely glued inside your hubs, so your wheels and your axles are nice and tight. And there's another transaxle inside here, and then this wheel over here is still freewheeling, so you've got no problems with this rolling when that glue dries up. Okay, so here's another thing, and this will be okay. Sometimes you'll get glue hairs, you know. Model guys will know about this. Okay, do not touch your car with glue on your fingers, or you will ruin it. That'll be the end of it. All right, so set it up. Give it about 20 minutes or a half hour, and then give it a roll again, and you'll break free the wheels, and everything will be great. All right, so the next one I'll do is we'll do this one. And the reason that we're going to do this one is because you can see that the wheels, my lighting's horrible, sorry. You can see that the wheels are tucked up under the fenders, right? So it makes it a little bit more difficult, but you tackle it with the same mindset. Just grab it with your needle nose. And then obviously this wheel is not going to move outward of the fender. So we're going to push the axle downward into the car as it melts it, like so, and then pull it off. Okay? Even though it's in the fender, you're going to push the axle down. So you're relieving the wheel of the axle, and you could see it come out the other side if you could watch. And this is a metal bottom car. You can do this on your plastic bottom cars too. You just got to be careful of melting the bottom plastic. Okay, so flip this over, and we're gonna clean this up now. Just give that a little melt. Well, like it's easy. That's why we do it, right? Because it's fun. Okay, we'll get this other one off real quick. Basically, all you got to do is get that axle head hot, and that plastic will pop right off. You don't have to grab it with your fingers either. Any number of tools will pull it off. So now I've got my wheels off, right? Same as before. Cut the heads off. Right? And this time, what we'll do is we just push the axles out. Okay? Then I grab the axles from the other side. Pull the wheels out, right? Now we got a nice hot rod, no wheels. Now, what do I want a caravan with no wheels for? All right, so now we set these aside. And for those of you that are screaming red lines and all that, bam! Working on my red line set over here, right? So, got my axles from my original wheels. These are short axles. And let's see, what do we want to put in there? So again, what we'll do, these are the ones that are on the website that have the axles in it, that you don't have to build your axles. Just grab that, cut off that hub, and then again, these ones are actually pretty close because these are short axle wheels. Use my axles from the car. Okay, and then now just common sense dictates how you do this. So if you can work it like this and get it past the fender like so, and still get the axle in there, that's great. But if not, like this one, you have to get the wheel in the fender first, and then run the axle through everything. And then you have to do the same thing on the other side, right? Because you've got to tuck that wheel in the fender before you run the axle through, right? You can do it, and it's not that hard once you realize how you need to do it. Now, you know you have to test fit. Everything has to be test fit, right? So we just push that axle in there, and now we've got it swapped over. See, that one wants to stick through a little bit, right? But we don't have to take it all the way back apart. Just pull the head out a little bit. Pull the hub, if I can get a hold of it. Or you can push it from the other side, because you can't get a hold of it. Genius. All right. And then just pull this one out. Oops. When you get the axle out far enough, right? And then push the axle in. And we'll want to cut that much of that axle off. All right, so we don't want it sticking out. Normally, a good rule of thumb is this body line right here. Okay, cut your axles in line with that body line right there. And you'll be in good shape. So push that axle back. That one's sticking in my hand. Stab that axle in the hole again. Hopefully it'll go and you'll get lucky. Oh, bam. Right? She's good to go. Nothing sticking through, everything looking good, high and tight. So then we just got to do the same thing for the back. And remember, if you're going to do it like I do, where you don't have the axle head on one side, you got to remember to match it up so that one side has them, you know, and then the other side doesn't. And I know from my other axle that I need to cut it. So make sure it's taut, pulled tight against the other wheel. Make your cuts. This is amazingly hard to do and show at the same time. Normally I'd have this in my lap or in my face or something, you know. Here we go. Stab it. Any of you guys remember working with your dad, changing a motor on a car or something? You'd have to go stab the motor. You'd be like, what? What are you talking about? Who knows what that is? Who's stabbed a motor? Right? And there you go. Now you've got your wheels swapped, right? Looks pretty good. And everything's test fit and we know that it works. Now you got to take it back apart, right? Because you got to make those axles stay in there. So just, again, now it's a little bit harder because your axles are buried in there. You got to bring this wheel back out again, but she doesn't want to let you. There we go. Pop that one off. Push that axle through. Pop that off. Now we got our wheels back out. Now, you cannot do it the same way as the last car, if you've been watching, because how can you get your glue on your axles if they're tucked inside the car, and then you got to put your wheels on without rubbing all the glue off? So the trick here, if you're doing it this way, is you grab your glue, make sure it's clean, make sure your hands are clean, you grab the wheel and you mate. See, don't let your glue auto squeeze on you either. It'll figure itself out in a minute. You mate the glue to your wheel and just touch it. You don't need, see how I just got that a little bit right there? That's all you need. Set it up. Because as your axle goes in there, it's going to glue itself through. So here we go. This is going to be fun. Push the axle back so that it's flat. No axle, right? Hold your wheel in place and then carefully, if I can, match it up if you're lucky. It's one of those shows gone bad, dude. Now my fingers want to give out. You got to match it up on your axle, push it through, and then I use these Q-tip wooden rods, and that just push that axle head in. It's glued to my fingers. See, that glue works good, huh? Push the axle. And now you're locked in place on that front these ones are, the wheels and tires will stay in place automatically because of the fenders and the way that they run. So the axle is the only thing that needs to be glue welded to that wheel. So we're going to push this axle back again. Hopefully I'll have better luck with this one. I didn't have very good luck with that last one. Set it inside the fender, and then push your axle through. Yay, I got that one easier. And then, I don't know, what do you want to call it? Set your axle. We'll set the rear end, right? Glue hairs. So there, we're ready to go. Now, these wheels and tires can't get out from underneath the fender, right? So it's actually, pretty simple, easy job. Push the axles in. Let her set up and dry. So now our other guy that we made beforehand, over here, he's all dried up, right to jet. Everything's cool, everything's workable, nothing's breakable. All of us are collectors and we like to look at things. That's why you buy it. It's all about the look, You put it on your desk, you feel good when you look at it. These are touchable as well. They're not going to go down your plastic racetrack anymore, but using this method is a good way to do things and still have it sturdy enough to have your kids touch it, or buy it for your kids, whichever, or have it on your desk and have people be able to handle it. It's a good way to do it. So if it's got some metal bottom cars that you want to swap the wheels on, cruise over to the website. There's a whole bunch of different wheel sets, and I've got a bunch of cars that are in the bargain bin area for you to practice on too. MuncleMikes.com. All right, I'll get some better lights.